The stars outside the ship's window looked cold and silent. Virelia sat near the edge of the passenger bay, holding her two children close. Her youngest, Kari, slept with her head on Virelia's lap. Her older son, Dren, watched the humans, around them with wide, nervous eyes. The refugee ship was packed. Families, injured soldiers, and survivors of the Zentari War all shared the same space. Some cried, some sat in silence. Everyone had lost someone. Virelia had lost her husband. He died protecting their home when raiders came after the final battle. They weren't soldiers, just criminals taking what they wanted from the ashes of war. Virelia had escaped with her children and one small bag. Inside the bag was something important, something her husband told her never to reveal. Not even to the children. Now their journey had brought them to the edge of human territory. New Earth station in sight, the ship's speaker said in a mechanical voice. Prepare for docking. Do not leave the ship until cleared by human. Border control. Virelia took a deep breath. She had heard stories about humans. Some said they were kind. Others said they were dangerous. She didn't know what to believe. All she knew was that this was her last chance. When the ship docked, the airlock hissed open. Human guards stepped inside. Their armor was clean and silver. One of them, tall and calm, stepped forward. His uniform showed he was in command. "Welcome to New Earth Station," he said. "I'm Commander Elias Brandt. We will process you one family at a time. Please stay calm." His voice was strong but not harsh. Virelia noticed how his eyes moved, sharp, alert, but kind. He didn't look down on them. He didn't act like they were a problem. One by one, families were led off the ship. When it was Virelia's turn, she stood, helping her children stay close. Elias looked at her with quiet curiosity. "Your name?" "Virelia," she said. "These are my children. We have no home." He scanned a small device, reading her ID file. "Widow, Zentari, no criminal record." He looked at the kids. "Healthy, that's good." He paused. "Do you have anyone waiting for you?" "No," she said softly. "Do you have any credits? Any job skills?" "I was a healer. On our world." He gave a short nod. "We can place you in a temporary living pod. Food, water, basic needs. There's a refugee school for the children, but it's only for 60 days. After that, you must have a sponsor or leave the station." Virelia swallowed. "A sponsor?" "A citizen who takes responsibility for you. Or a work permit, but those are hard to get." He hesitated, then added, "I'm sorry, I don't make the rules." She looked down at her children. 60 days wasn't enough. She had nowhere to go after that. "Thank you," she said, bowing her head. Elias called over a station assistant. "Get them food and take them to pod C-17. As Virelia walked away, with her children, Elias watched her go. He had seen many refugees before, some angry, some broken, but this woman, she held herself with quiet strength. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. Even in her fear, she protected her children like a shield. Back in the small pod, Virelia laid her children on the thin bedding. Kari was still tired. Dren asked softly, "Are we safe now, Mother?" Virelia touched his face. "For now, yes." Later that night, she opened her small bag. Inside, hidden beneath a scarf, was a silver sphere the size of her palm, the bioseed, the last of its kind. Her husband had told her, this could grow a world again, but in the wrong hands, it could be used for war. She stared at it for a long time. "I don't want power," she whispered. "I just want a home." The air inside pod C-17 was thin, but warm. The walls were made of soft metal panels, and there were 2 small beds, a water tap, and a food heater. It was not a home, but it was better than the broken cargo hold on the refugee ship. Virelia sat by, the heater, as her children finished the meal. The human food was dry and bland, but they were too hungry to care. Dren ate quickly while little Kari picked slowly at a protein bar. "Mother," Dren asked, "what will happen after 60 days?" Virelia placed her hand gently on his head. I don't know, but I will find a way. She smiled, but her heart was heavy. 60 days. Just 60. After that, they could be sent away, back into space, back into danger. The next morning, she stood in a long line at the refugee office. People spoke many languages. Some cried. Some argued. When it was her turn, a human officer handed her a list of open jobs. Most jobs require a sponsor, the officer said. But you can try the hydroponic gardens. They sometimes take refugees for short shifts. Virelia took the paper and bowed politely. Thank you. She walked to the hydroponic dome, where plants grew under glowing lights. The air smelled fresh like earth after rain. A human woman with a name tag reading Mira looked her up and down. Ever worked with plants? I grew healing herbs on my world, Virelia said. Follow me. Virelia was given gloves and a set of tools. She worked quietly, trimming, watering, and planting. The work was hard, but it was peaceful. She was allowed to take a small bag of vegetables home for her children. That night they ate soup for the first time in weeks. The next few days followed. The same pattern. Virelia worked. The children attended the refugee school. Elias Brandt didn't see her again, until the day he stopped by the gardens. He was checking security systems when he noticed her, kneeling beside a bed of green leaf pods. Her sleeves were rolled up and her fingers moved gently through the soil. Virelia, he said. She looked up, surprised. Commander, you're working here? Yes, they gave me 3 hours a day. I can feed my children this way. Elias nodded. You're doing well. Many people struggle. I don't have time to struggle, she replied simply. He almost smiled. If you need help, I've already taken too much from your people, she said quickly. Food, shelter, I'm grateful. But I don't want to be a burden. You're not, Elias said. You're a survivor. He left her to her work, but her words stayed with him. 2 weeks passed. Then Virelia was called back to the refugee office. This time the officer looked uncomfortable. We reviewed your file. Without a sponsor or work permit, you and your children must leave the station when your 60 days are over. Virelia's voice was calm. Where will we go? There's a holding colony near the edge of the system. It's safe but crowded. No schools. Limited food. Virelia stood silently. She thought of her children. Kari's smile, Dren's questions. She had promised them safety. She could not break that promise. That night she did something bold. She walked to the security office and asked to see Commander Elias. When he arrived, he looked surprised. Is something wrong? She lowered her head. Commander, I am not here to beg, but I must ask you something very difficult. Go on, he said gently. I need a sponsor, someone to claim us as family. I have no friends, no relatives. Only you have shown us kindness. She looked up into his eyes. If you take me as your wife, even only by name, they will let us stay. I will ask nothing else. Only shelter. Only a chance for my children. Elias was quiet for a long moment. He had not expected this. He had seen many strange things during the war, but never had someone asked him for marriage as a path to safety. I don't even know you, he said softly. You know enough, Virelia said. You know I work hard. I protect my children. I don't lie. That is who I am. Elias studied her face. She was not desperate. She was not weak. She was asking not for herself, but for them. And maybe he was lonely too. I'll think about it, he said. Virelia bowed her head. That is all I ask. She left the office quietly, walking back through the station halls, her children waiting at home. She did not know what his answer would be, but now the question had been asked. The next morning, Elias Brandt stood in front of the large window of his office, watching small ships move in and out of New Earth Station. He had slept little the night before. Virelia's request repeated in his mind over and over. Take me as your wife, not for love, for survival. He had expected refugees to ask for food, for medicine, for jobs. But marriage? It was something else entirely. And yet, the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. It was legal. It would give her and the children a permanent home. He had no family of his own. His apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Later that day, Elias went to the refugee office. He filled out a form marked Civic Partnership Human-Alien Union. It asked for names, backgrounds, and purpose. He wrote the truth. This marriage is not romantic. It is based on trust, need, and respect. He signed it. That evening, he visited Pod C-17. Virelia opened the door, her eyes wide with surprise. "I submitted the form," he said. Her lips parted slightly, then closed. "You did? You and the children can stay. You'll be citizens. You'll be safe." She stepped back, letting him enter. Kari ran up and stared at Elias with wide eyes. Dren stood beside his mother, watching silently. "Thank you," Virelia said quietly. "This won't be easy," Elias added. "We'll have to live together. The station will check to see if it's a real union. You'll get a small stipend and housing upgrade. I'll answer questions. You will too." "I understand." He nodded. "We don't need to pretend more than that. Just try to live peacefully." Virelia looked around the small pod. "We can move into your quarters?" "Yes," he said. "They are large enough for a family." She bent down to tell her children the news. Dren blinked in confusion. "Is he our father now?" "No," she said softly. "But he is our protector." A week later, the marriage was officially registered. Elias wore his uniform. Virelia wore a clean dress given by the refugee center. There were no flowers, no music, no guests, only a machine that scanned their signatures and confirmed the legal bond. "Registered," the clerk said. "Congratulations, Commander and Mrs. Brandt." Virelia blinked at the new title. It felt strange, but also safe. They moved into Elias's quarters that day. The home was simple. 3 rooms, a kitchen unit, and a wide window with a view of the stars. The children rushed around with excitement. Kari pointed to a soft couch. "Can I sleep here?" "No," Elias said with a rare smile. "You'll have your own bed." That night, Virelia made soup with the vegetables she brought from the garden. They sat at the same table, Elias, Virelia, Dren, and Kari. No one said much. But there was no fear in the room, just a quiet understanding. Later, Virelia helped Kari and Dren get into bed. She tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, and stood in the hallway where Elias waited. "I'll take the sleeping mat," she said, pointing to a folded bed. "No," Elias replied. "The room beside the children's is yours. I'll stay in my office if I need quiet." She nodded, then paused. "Thank you, Elias. I know this was not easy." He looked at her. "I didn't do it because it was easy. I did it because it was right." Over the next few days, life slowly began to change. The station gave Virelia a citizen pass, allowing her to work full hours in the gardens. The children were enrolled in the regular school, not the refugee one. Kari made friends quickly. Dren was quiet but curious. Virelia kept the home clean and peaceful. She never asked Elias for anything. She always left food for him, even if he worked late. One evening, after a long shift, Elias found Dren sitting alone watching a learning screen. "Everything okay?" Elias asked. Dren nodded. "Yes. I was just learning Earth history." "Like what?" "You had a war, long time ago. But then you built peace. You made machines to grow food. You made homes in space." Elias smiled faintly. "We made many mistakes first, but we tried to learn." Dren looked up at him. "Will you teach me?" Elias blinked. "Teach you?" "Teach me to fix things like machines like the ones in the station." Elias sat beside him. "Sure, I can show you how things work." That night, Virelia watched Elias speak with her son, and something in her heart softened. This man, once a stranger, was becoming part of their lives. Not a husband in love, not a father by blood, but something real, something steady, and in a galaxy full of broken promises, that was more than enough. The days passed peacefully, but not without quiet tension. Life on New Earth Station had become more stable for Virelia and her children. The children went to school in the mornings. Virelia worked full-time in the hydroponic gardens, and Elias kept up with his duties as commander, though now he returned, home to a shared dinner table and small voices calling him sir, and sometimes Elias uncle. Still, something heavy rested in Virelia's heart. She had not told Elias about the bioseed. It remained hidden in the bottom of her old travel bag, wrapped in a scarf, buried beneath spare clothes. Each night, when the station lights dimmed, she would quietly check it, making sure it was safe. Her husband had died protecting it. It was not just a seed, it was a life source, coded to grow an entire biosphere. With the right care and energy, it could restore a dead planet. Or in the wrong hands, it could be weaponized to erase everything in its path. Virelia had kept this secret not out of distrust, but out of fear. If people knew she had it, someone might try to take it. Or worse, use it. One afternoon, while planting new rows of leafy greens, Virelia felt a soft presence beside her. Mira, her human supervisor, knelt down and handed her a water scoop. "You've done well," Mira said. "The garden's production is up 12%. That's because of you." "Thank you," Virelia replied. "I just do what I know." "You know, more than most," Mira said, smiling. Then she lowered her voice. "But be careful. There are whispers. Someone from your ship might be asking questions about valuable cargo." Virelia froze for a moment, but quickly nodded. "I understand." Later that night, while the children were asleep, Elias returned home earlier than usual. Virelia was sitting quietly, her hands resting on a folded cloth. Her eyes met his. "Need to tell you something?" she said softly. Elias sat down across from her. "All right." She unfolded the cloth and revealed the silver sphere. It pulsed faintly like it had a heartbeat. Elias leaned forward, surprised but calm. "What is that?" "This," she said carefully, "is the last bioseed from Zentari. Prime. It can create life on a dead world, or destroy one, if someone programs it wrong." Elias stared at the small object, understanding its power instantly. "You brought this through customs?" "It was hidden. I couldn't let anyone take it. My husband died protecting it. He believed someone would try to steal it after the war. Maybe even from my own people." "Why tell me now?" Elias asked, his voice low but steady. "Because Mira warned me. Someone from the refugee ship might be looking for it. If they come for me, my children will be in danger." Elias stood and locked the room's inner door. "We need to hide it better," he said, "and report this. Carefully." "No," Virelia said quickly. "If the council learns of it, they'll take it. I don't trust them. I only trust you." Elias looked at her. Not as a refugee, not even as a partner, but as someone strong, honest, and deeply burdened. He nodded. "Then we'll hide it. And I'll protect you." The next morning, Elias visited a trusted engineer named Rafe, who owed him a favor from the war. "I need a box," Elias said. "One that blocks scans, sensors, even high-frequency sweeps." Rafe blinked. "Are you hiding something dangerous?" "No. I'm protecting something alive." Within hours, Elias returned with a small case lined with sensor-blocking foam. Together, he and Virelia placed the bioseed inside, then locked it in a hidden compartment in the floor beneath the children's bedroom. That night, Kari climbed into Elias's lap without asking and held out her favorite toy. "You can sleep with this tonight, Elias," she said sweetly. "It helps with scary dreams." Elias smiled and accepted the little stuffed animal. "Thank you, Kari." Virelia watched this small moment and felt something stir inside her. Safety, trust, maybe even the beginning of something more than a name-only marriage. She whispered a quiet promise to herself. "If we survive this, I will make this home for real." The quiet peace in Elias Brandt's home didn't last long. Days passed without trouble, but both Elias and Virelia knew it wouldn't stay that way. Something was coming. One evening, while Virelia was helping Kari with her homework, Elias returned from the command center. His face was serious. 2 new arrivals from the refugee ship registered at the station, he said. One of them, Tagro, was a low-level crew member. He used to work in cargo control. Virelia's hands froze on the data pad. Tagro, she repeated quietly. He used to ask questions about the bioseed, said we should sell it after the war. Elias nodded. Now he's here. Dren, who was pretending to read nearby, looked up. Are we in danger? Elias met his eyes. Not if I can help it. That night, Elias installed a silent alarm at their door and updated the security system. He added cameras in the hallway and tested the alert button on his wristpad 3 times. Virelia stayed calm, but inside she felt the old fear return. She had escaped once. Could she escape again, this time with her children? The next day, at the hydroponic garden, Mira approached her quietly. Virelia, she whispered. I saw someone near your quarters last night. He wasn't wearing a station badge. Virelia's heart dropped. What did he look like? Tall. Red skin, dark eyes. He didn't stay long. Just walked by twice. But he was watching. Virelia nodded. That's Tagro. He's here for something he can't have. Mira frowned. Do you want me to report it? Not yet, Virelia said. We're handling it. When she returned home, she told Elias everything. He didn't wait. He pulled up Tagro's ID on the station registry and placed him under quiet observation. That night, Elias sat with Dren while the boy cleaned one of the small repair drones. The boy worked carefully, unscrewing the casing and cleaning dust from the motor. You're getting better, Elias said. Dren looked proud. You think I can join the tech team one day? If you keep this up, definitely, Elias said. We always need good engineers. Dren paused. Why are you helping us so much? You didn't have to marry my mother. Elias didn't answer right away. Sometimes the right thing isn't easy, but it's still right. Dren thought. For a while, then smiled. You're not bad for a human. Elias chuckled. Thanks, I think. Later that night, as everyone slept, the silent alarm blinked. A soft beep echoed in Elias's wristband. He stood instantly. Someone had touched the door. He moved quietly, grabbing his sidearm from the drawer. Virelia appeared behind him, already awake. Stay with the children, he whispered. She nodded and stepped into their room. Elias pressed against the wall and waited. A small hiss sounded. The outer airlock had opened. Whoever was outside knew how to bypass the door. Elias opened the door fast and pointed his weapon. Don't move. Tagro stood there, arms raised. He wore a smirk. Commander Brandt, he said calmly. I only came to talk. In the middle of the night? I know Virelia has something that doesn't belong to her. Elias didn't lower the weapon. If you try anything, I won't miss. Tagro stepped back, hands still up. I'm not here to fight, but she can't keep it forever. Others will come. Elias narrowed his eyes. This is your only warning. Stay away from my family. Tagro gave a short laugh. Your family? That's funny. He turned and walked away. Elias didn't follow, but his mind was racing. The next day, Elias sent a coded message to command level. Request transfer to secure housing unit. Threat level raised. Family at risk. Within hours, they were moved to a guarded section of the station. Only officers and diplomats lived there. No refugee or visitor could enter without high clearance. Kari didn't understand the change. Why do we have to leave our home? To keep you safe, Elias told her. Just for a while. The new home was cleaner, larger, but colder. Still, safety was more important than comfort. One evening, Virelia stood by the window, watching the stars. Elias joined her. I'm sorry, he said. You should have had peace, not more running. Virelia shook her head. I've been running since the war started, but now I'm not alone. That makes it easier. Elias looked at her, seeing her strength again. You were right, he said. You're not weak. You never were. She smiled softly. Elias, she said gently, you've done more than I asked. I don't know if I can ever repay you. You don't have to, he replied. You already have. They stood there quietly, side by side, the stars shining outside. But somewhere in the dark parts of the station, Tagro was planning again. And next time, he might not come alone. Life inside. The secure zone of New Earth Station was quiet but tense. The guards outside the door were polite but serious. Kari missed her friends. Dren was restless. Virelia tried to stay calm, but deep down she knew something was coming, and it came sooner than they expected. One night, while Elias was finishing a report in his home office, the lights flickered, just once, then again. He paused and checked the power grid on his wristpad. Everything showed green, but his instincts, sharpened by years in the military, said something was wrong. Virelia? He called. She appeared from the kitchen, drying her hands. Get the children, stay in the back room. What is it? I'm not sure, but I don't like the signs. Minutes later, the station shook, a small, sharp tremor. Not a full explosion, but close. Alarms rang in the hallway. Red lights flashed. Evacuate level 3. Fire reported in the west corridor. Elias's wristpad blinked again. Unauthorized access attempt. Someone was trying to override the security. Virelia returned, Kari in her arms, Dren behind her. What do we do? We don't go out, Elias said firmly. This could be a distraction. He opened a small wall panel and pulled out a short-range comm device. This is Commander Brandt, he said, his voice steady. We have a breach attempt near diplomatic housing. Possible hostile action. Lockdown requested. Copy that, Commander, the voice replied. Lockdown in 30 seconds. Elias looked at Virelia. Get to the back. Don't open the door unless it's me. She nodded and rushed the children into the room. Elias stayed near the main door, sidearm ready. 20 seconds passed. 10. Then, bang, the door shook violently. Someone was trying to force it open. Stand down, Elias shouted. You're trespassing in a secure zone. No reply. He fired once into the door panel. Sparks flew. The door hissed shut fully and locked from the inside. But then he heard it, drilling. They had tools, not just thugs, trained people. Come on, Elias muttered. He activated the distress beacon on his wrist. It would send his location and status to command directly. Then he heard something worse. A voice. Tagro. From the hallway, through a comm speaker. Elias Brandt, you've made this harder than it needed to be. Hand over the bioseed and we walk away. No one gets hurt. Elias didn't answer. Tagro continued. You think your position means something? You're just a human with a badge. We're survivors. We don't ask, we take. Elias turned on the hallway speaker. You touch my family and I promise this station won't be big enough to hide you. A pause. Then laughter. You're brave, but we'll see how brave you are when the air gets thin. They were trying to cut the oxygen. Elias ran to the side panel and opened the emergency ventilation override. He keyed in his security code and forced fresh air into the room. They're cutting air, he told Virelia. But I bought us time. Virelia came to him, eyes fierce. Let me help. Keep the children calm. I mean it, Elias. I'm not just a mother. I trained in planetary defense. I know how to handle a plasma cutter. Elias blinked, then handed her the emergency shock baton from the drawer. Stay behind me, he said. But if they get in, you use this. She nodded, taking it with steady hands. Minutes passed. Drilling stopped. Silence. Then, boom. The wall to the side exploded inward. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Elias covered Virelia and the children with his body as the blast hit. 3 figures entered through the smoke, armed, masked. They didn't speak. Elias fired. One fell. Virelia hit another with the baton as he tried to rush past. Dren grabbed Kari and pulled her behind the couch. Elias tackled the third man, wrestling him to the ground. The man was strong, trained, but Elias was faster. He disarmed him, then knocked him unconscious. Just then the main door burst open. Station guards flooded in. Commander, stand down. We've got it. Elias lowered his weapon. Tagro was nowhere in sight. Hours later, the family sat in a recovery room. No one was hurt, but the shock still lingered. I should have known they'd try something like this, Elias said. They didn't get it, Virelia whispered. The bioseed is safe. Dren looked up. But what if they come back? Elias placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. They won't. Not here. Not again. Kari reached out and held Elias's hand. I'm glad you're our protector. He smiled faintly. You're not just a duty anymore, he said. You're my family. Virelia looked at him, heart full, eyes shining. In that moment, it wasn't just a paper marriage. It was something real. Something worth fighting for. 3 days after the attack, the station was calm again. Security had doubled. Tagro's team had been arrested, except for Tagro himself. He had escaped during the chaos. No one knew where he went. But Elias had warned every outpost and patrol to stay alert. A bounty was placed on him. One way or another, he would face justice. Inside their new home, Elias, Virelia, Dren, and Kari sat together for breakfast. The air was still heavy, but there was peace in the silence. Kari giggled while pouring syrup on her pancakes. Dren spoke excitedly about fixing one of the broken drones outside. Virelia smiled quietly as she sipped tea. Elias, watching them, all felt something settle deep in his chest. Belonging. For the first time in years, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. After breakfast, Elias walked with Virelia to the garden deck. She held a small box in her hands, the case holding the bioseed. The time had come to decide what to do with it. Elias leaned on the railing. We could hide it again? Lock it in a vault. Make sure no one ever finds it. Virelia shook her head. That's not what it was made for. My husband gave his life to protect this, not to bury it, but to use it for good. Then we need to find a place that needs it, Elias said. A world with no life. A place where this seed can bring something new. There is a planet, Virelia said softly. Our explorers once called it Thalen's Hope. It was a desert world full of storms. But the soil is rich. If life was planted there, it could grow. Elias nodded. It's still in Federation space. We could request a mission. It would take time, she said. Years, maybe. But we could do it together. He looked at her. You really want that? She smiled gently. I want a place where my children can grow without fear. A home. We build ourselves. Not one given or borrowed, but one earned. Elias took her hand. Then let's make it happen. 2 weeks later, the council approved the mission. Commander Elias Brandt and his family were assigned to a long-range terraforming expedition. Their destination? Thalen's Hope. The ship was prepared, a small science cruiser with garden bays, research decks, and sleeping quarters. A crew of 7 would go with them. Most were volunteers. All believed in what the seed could do. As they prepared to leave, many station workers came to say goodbye. Mira from the hydroponics gave Virelia a necklace made of pressed flowers. Rafe, the engineer, gave Dren a toolkit of his own. Kari hugged every guard at the gate. Goodbye, friends, she shouted. When the ship finally launched, Virelia watched New Earth Station disappear into the stars. She held the seed in her lap. Her children sat beside her. Elias stood at the control panel, guiding the ship into deep space. For the first time, they were not running. They were going forward. Months passed in travel. The children studied on board. Virelia ran the lab. Elias kept the ship running. Every day brought them closer to Thalen's Hope. When they arrived, it looked just as the report said, dry, red, silent. But under the dust, the scanners found rich minerals. Good air pressure, plenty of sunlight. It could become something beautiful. The team prepared the planting site in a deep valley. Virelia stood at the center, holding the seed, as the others formed a quiet circle around her. She placed the seed in a specially prepared chamber deep in the ground. May life grow here, she whispered. The chamber sealed. Lights blinked. The seed activated. Over the next few weeks, green shoots broke the surface. The sky changed color slightly. Clouds formed. Water gathered in the lowlands. Small insects engineered inside the seed began to buzz in the grass. Thalen's hope was changing. It was working. One evening, under a sky full of new stars, Elias and Virelia sat outside the dome, watching the young trees sway in the wind. "This place will be a new home for many," she said. Elias nodded. "And it started with you." "With us," she corrected. He smiled. "Do you regret anything?" She shook her head. "I lost a lot, but I found more." They looked back toward the dome, where Kari and Dren were playing with the crew's children. Virelia leaned her head on Elias's shoulder. "We planted more than a seed," she said. "We planted a future."